All right, ready to dive in. Today, it's all about TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language.
Yeah, always a fascinating topic.
Now, I know you're already a bit intrigued by TEFL,
Exactly.
and you sent us this free online course from Allison.com.
Hmm.
So think of this deep dive as us kind of being your guides.
Your TFL Sherpas?
Yeah, exactly. We'll check out the highlights, see what it's all about, and give you a feel for what this whole TEFL path could look like.
Yeah, we'll explore the basics of a TFL certificate,
Right.
but also peek into those, exciting career paths and opportunities that could open up.
Perfect. So you're already interested in TEFL, so you probably know there's a big demand for English teachers globally.
Huge and constantly growing, yeah.
But get this, did you know over 1.75 billion people worldwide speak English? It's crazy.
It's mind-boggling. And, it's become the language of, well, everything really. Business, travel, the internet.
Basically the world, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that means a lot of people need to learn English or, get better at it.
Exactly. And that translates to a constantly growing need for TEFL teachers.
Which is good news for you if you're thinking about this, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just traditional classrooms anymore.
No.
This demand spills over into the online world too, creating a ton of flexible opportunities.
Okay, so there's a need for sure,
Yes.
but what does it actually take to become a TEFL teacher? Let's look at this Allison.com course.
Okay.
I saw they mention applied linguistics, but I'll be honest, that sounds a bit intimidating.
Yeah, I get that.
What does that even mean for someone who just wants to teach English?
It does sound a bit academic, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But applied linguistics is actually very practical, I promise.
Okay.
It's all about understanding how language works, which is key for a TEFL teacher.
Makes sense.
Like, think about teaching grammar, for example.
Oh, yeah, great.
If you get the underlying structure of English, you can explain those tricky grammar rules in a way that makes sense to, well, someone learning it for the first time.
So it's about knowing the why behind the what.
Precisely.
Okay, I like that.
This course also goes into different teaching methodologies.
Right.
And that's where it gets really interesting because there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah, I bet. Now, you might be thinking, can a free online course really teach you how to teach?
Of course, that's a fair question.
And that's where the lesson planning part of this course comes in.
Right.
So what does that involve?
Well, you'll learn how to set learning goals,
Yeah.
choose the right materials, and most importantly, how to design engaging lessons.
Interesting.
Think, interactive games, creative activities, the whole works. It's
Yeah.
all about making language learning fun.
Oh, games. I'm all about that. Learning is best when you're having fun.
For sure.
What about technology, though? Everything's online these days.
You're absolutely right. And this course recognizes that.
Yeah.
It covers how to use technology effectively,
Like what specifically?
especially for teaching things like grammar and vocabulary.
Mm.
And this is especially helpful for online teaching, which is becoming more and more popular.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's clear this course isn't just about knowing English grammar really well.
No, it's more than that.
It's about giving you the tools and strategies to actually teach it well.
So the how to teach, not just the what.
Exactly. And they also highlight something called pedagogical training.
Pedagogical training. Okay, that sounds complicated.
It's really not. It's basically the art and science of teaching.
So it's about how you teach, not just what you teach.
Right. It's about understanding how people learn best
Mm,
and creating that supportive learning environment where they can really thrive.
I like that.
This course even covers things like classroom management, time management, keeping students motivated, all those essentials.
Those are valuable skills no matter what you're doing, really.
You're absolutely right.
But can you really learn all this from a free online course?
Well, this Allison.com course is a great starting point.
Okay, a starting point.
Think of it as like dipping your toes into the TEFL pool.
I like that analogy.
It gives you the essentials, but remember, there's always more to learn.
Yeah, of course.
It's a journey, really.
Okay, so we've covered what's in the course.
Right.
But let's talk about what you can actually do with a TESOL certificate.
Yes, the possibilities.
Because I imagine there are a lot.
Oh, there are. It's not just about teaching abroad, although that's definitely a popular one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This certificate could open doors to online teaching, which is incredibly flexible.
Right.
Or even a full-blown career in education, if that's something you're passionate about.
Wow, so many options.
Right.
But let's be real for a second. What's a certificate from a free online course really worth?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's important to know This particular course offers a diploma or certificate upon completion,
Okay.
which can be a real boost for your resume.
Does it really?
Oh yeah, it shows employers you've put in the time and effort.
So you're serious about this?
Exactly, even if you're just starting out.
Hmm. That's good to know.
And while this specific certificate might not be as, let's say, weighty as a CELTA qualification,
Right.
it's still a valuable stepping stone.
Okay.
It gives you the confidence and the foundational knowledge to pursue further training or even jump straight into teaching.
So let's say someone's brand new to this whole TEFL world.
Okay.
Can anyone study for a TEFL certificate? Do you need like a specific degree or background?
Not at all. That's one of the great things about TEFL. It's open to people from all walks of life.
Really?
Of course, you need a good grasp of English,
Right.
and being a native speaker can be a plus in some cases.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you don't need a specific degree or any prior teaching experience to get started.
That's pretty encouraging, actually.
Right. It's all about passion and a willingness to learn.
But can you actually teach with just a TEFL certificate? Or do you need like a formal teaching degree on top of that?
Well, it depends on what.
Okay.
In many countries, a TEFL certificate is enough to get you going, especially for teaching English as a foreign language. Some countries might want you to have a degree as well. But even then, having that TEFL certification shows you've got specialized training.
So it makes you a stronger candidate.
Exactly. It sets you apart.
Okay, good to know.
It's all about showing you're dedicated to teaching.
Okay, last question before we move on.
Sure.
Let's be real. Is it actually hard to find a TEFL job, especially, abroad?
Well, landing that first TEFL job, especially if you want to teach abroad, can be a little tricky. I won't lie.
Yeah.
It helps to get some experience teaching in your own country first, if you can.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of support available, like agencies that specialize in placing TEFL teachers in schools around the world.
So there's help out there.
Definitely. And once you've got some experience, it generally gets easier.
So it might take some effort and networking.
Yeah, but it's definitely doable.
Okay, last question for real this time. So I know it's subjective, but is there one best TEFL course out there?
That's a tough one. And our source material doesn't really address that directly.
Right.
But it's a question a lot of people ask.
I bet.
I think the key is to do your research and find a course that fits your goals, your learning style, and your budget.
So what works for one person might not be right for another.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right fit for you.
Good point. All right, let's take a pause and recap what we've learned so far.
Sounds good to me.
We've seen that TEFL is more than just, grammar drills and vocabulary lists.
Much more.
This free course from Allison.com gives you a taste of that, covering not just grammar and vocabulary, but also the how to teach it effectively.
Yes, and that's crucial.
Using different methodologies, technology, even getting into classroom management and keeping students motivated.
Those are all essential parts of being a good TEFL teacher.
And while this particular course might not be like the ultimate TEFL qualification,
Right.
it's a solid foundation for those wanting to explore this path.
Absolutely. It's a great way to explore different sides of teaching English,
From lesson planning, using technology.
to understanding how people learn.
Yeah, and we've seen that a TEFL certificate can open up a lot of opportunities.
It really can.
From teaching abroad to online teaching, even a long-term career in education.
You just have to find what clicks for you.
Okay, we've covered a lot.
We have.
But now I want to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's imagine you finished this Allison.com course. What happens next? What's it actually like to be a TEFL teacher?
That's where the real adventure begins.
Right.
It's one thing to learn about all these teaching methods.
Yeah.
But it's another to actually be in the classroom or even online,
Oh, yeah.
connecting with students and guiding them through all the challenges and triumphs of learning a language.
I can imagine it sounds both exciting and kind of terrifying at the same time.
It can be both, for sure.
Like you've got all this knowledge from the course.
Yes.
But then you're thrown in the deep end and have to figure it out on the spot.
It's a learning curve, definitely.
So practical experience is really important then.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something this Allison.com course tries to address
How so?
with those practice exercises they mentioned.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those. What do those involve? Are they like virtual classroom simulations where you can practice your skills without, real students watching?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
It might not be a full-on simulation,
Okay.
but these exercises are designed to bridge that gap between theory and practice.
I see.
You might, for example, be asked to create a lesson plan for a specific level, or design activities for certain grammar points or vocabulary.
So it's like a safe space to experiment.
Exactly. And to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Before you're in front of real students,
That's great.
it allows you to put what you've learned into action
Right.
and to see how it works in a real teaching environment.
Which is super valuable.
Absolutely, especially for building confidence.
It's like when I was learning to drive,
Yeah.
those practice sessions with my instructor.
Yeah,
They were nerve-wracking at first, but they helped me get comfortable behind the wheel.
yeah, exactly. And just like with driving, practice makes perfect.
So true.
The more you experiment with different teaching techniques and activities, the better you'll become as a TEFL teacher.
More confident and more effective.
Precisely.
So even if you don't end up teaching abroad,
Or making a career out of it.
these skills can be used in other areas of life, right? Like communication, problem solving, adaptability.
Absolutely. Those are valuable assets no matter what you do.
And what I find fascinating about TEFL is the potential for personal growth.
Knowledge for sure.
Imagine being immersed in a new culture, connecting with people from all walks of life.
Helping them unlock the power of language.
That's beautifully put.
It's an incredibly enriching experience.
It really is.
And it's about so much more than just teaching grammar rules.
Right.
It's about building connections, breaking down barriers.
And broadening your own horizons.
Exactly.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Good, powerful stuff.
Okay, so we've talked about the technical skills.
And the personal growth side of things.
Right.
But what are the actual paths you could take as a TEFL teacher?
Okay, well, teaching abroad is the classic choice, especially for those who love to travel.
Yeah, makes sense.
Imagine teaching in a bustling city like Tokyo, or maybe a peaceful village in the Italian countryside.
Oh, I love that.
There's a whole world out there to discover.
While you're sharing your love of language.
Exactly. And don't forget about online teaching.
Oh, right, online teaching.
That's really changed the game for TEF.
Oh, so.
Well, it allows you to connect with students all over the world right from your own home.
That is super flexible.
Talk about convenience.
Yeah, no kidding. It's perfect for people who can't move abroad.
Or prefer setting their own schedule.
Right. But isn't it harder to connect with students online?
It's a different dynamic, for sure.
Yeah.
Building rapport online requires different techniques.
Like what?
You might use more engaging activities, give more personalized feedback,
Okay.
or even have virtual coffee breaks.
Oh, that's a good idea. Just to create that sense of community.
That makes sense.
You can definitely build strong relationships with students online.
All right, so we've got teaching abroad, online teaching.
Right.
Are there any other paths people might take with a TEFL certificate?
Absolutely. Some TEFL teachers specialize in certain areas, like teaching business English
Oh, interesting.
or working with young learners.
Makes sense.
Others might work with refugees or immigrants,
Oh, wow. That's really important work.
helping them adapt to a new language and culture.
Yeah.
And some even combine TEFL with other passions, like travel writing or photography.
Oh, that's cool. So many possibilities.
There really are.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone who gets a TEFL certificate will end up, traveling the world or being an online tutor.
Right.
What if someone finishes the course and realizes teaching just isn't for them?
That's perfectly okay. The skills you gain from a TEFL course are so transferable.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, you'll have improved your communication skills.
Yeah.
Learned how to explain complex things clearly,
Yeah.
and developed patience and empathy.
Those are valuable no matter what.
Exactly. Those qualities are important in any profession.
So it's like leveling up your communication and people skills?
Exactly. They're skills for life.
Okay, let's say our listener is feeling inspired and wants to jump into the TEFL world. What advice would you give them?
Well, finishing this free Allison.com course is a fantastic first step.
A good starting point.
Yeah, it's low risk. You can get a feel for TEFL and see if it grabs you.
Right.
But don't stop there.
No.
Start immersing yourself in the world of English language teaching.
Like how?
There are tons of resources online.
Like what?
Blogs, podcasts, forums, you name it.
Okay.
You can connect with other TEFL teachers,
Nice.
learn from their experiences,
I like that.
and get a better sense of the different paths you could take.
So it's about being proactive.
Exactly. And while you're online, why not look into different TEFL course providers?
This Allison.com one is just the beginning.
It is. You might find a more comprehensive course better suits your long-term goals.
Yeah, especially if you're thinking about changing careers.
Or teaching in a country with specific requirements.
Makes sense.
And don't underestimate networking.
Oh yeah, networking is important.
Reach out to people already working in the field.
Good advice.
Ask questions, get advice, make connections.
You never know what doors might open.
You really don't.
All right, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I think so too.
But before we wrap up,
Yes.
I want to go back to that personal reflection piece.
Okay.
Imagine you've done the course, you're excited about TF.
You're ready for the adventure.
Yeah. What does your ideal TFL journey look like?
That's the exciting part, right?
It is. Picturing yourself in that role, connecting with students, experiencing a new culture, all of it.
Exactly. So where do you see yourself? A busy city, a quiet village, or maybe even teaching online from home?
It's all about finding what resonates with you.
Yeah, and what type of learners do you see yourself working with?
So many choices.
Kids, adults, business professionals, maybe a mix of everyone.
It's about finding that niche that sparks your passion and uses your skills.
Right. Maybe you'd be great at teaching conversational English to travelers, or helping immigrants adjust to a new language.
That's so rewarding.
And think about the impact you could have.
Yeah, what kind of impact do you want to make?
Do you see yourself as a cultural ambassador, bridging gaps and promoting understanding? Or maybe as a mentor, empowering students to reach their goals through language?
Giving someone the gift of language can change their lives.
It truly can open up a world of opportunities.
And as a TEFL teacher, you can help make that happen.
It's amazing, really.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot today, from the demand for TEFL teachers to the Allison.com course to the career paths.
And don't forget the personal growth aspect.
Yes, of course.
It's clear that TEFL offers a fantastic mix of professional and personal fulfillment.
I completely agree.
It's been great diving into this with you.
Likewise.
Hopefully our listeners feeling a bit more informed
Yeah, and maybe even a little inspired.
to take that next step on their TEFL journey.
Absolutely. So to our listener who joined us on this deep dive, thank you.
Thanks for being here
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
and are feeling excited about what's ahead.
Remember, exploring a new path doesn't have to be a huge leap.
It can start with something small,
Like taking that free online course,
connecting with other TEFL teachers online.
or just taking a moment to imagine your ideal TEFL adventure.
Exactly. The world is full of people wanting to learn.
And you might be the perfect person to guide them.
That's a great thought to end on.
It is. That wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Until next time,
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
goodbye and happy teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it gets real.
Yeah, right. Where the rubber meets the road.
It's one thing to, learn about teaching methods,
Yeah.
but it's another to actually be in the classroom or even online,
For sure.
connecting with students, guiding them through like all the ups and downs of learning a language.
It's a whole different ball game, right?
Exactly.
It can be a bit overwhelming, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But exciting, too.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why practical experience is so important,
Makes sense.
which is something this Allison.com course tries to address, by the way.
Oh, right. How so?
Remember those practice exercises they mentioned?
Yeah, vaguely.
Those are designed to help with that, bridging the gap between theory and practice.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So you can actually apply what you've learned
Right.
in a more realistic setting.
So what do those look like? Are they like simulations?
Kind of.
Okay.
They might not be full-blown simulations, but they give you a chance to put those skills into action.
Can you give us an example?
Sure, you might be asked to create a lesson plan for a specific level,
Okay.
or maybe design activities to target certain grammar points or vocabulary.
So it's a way to practice before you're facing real students?
Exactly, a safe space to experiment and, make mistakes.
Yeah, I like that.
It's all part of the learning process.
And it helps build confidence, I bet.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it reminds me of when I was learning to drive.
Oh, yeah.
I was so nervous during those first few lessons with my instructor,
I bet those can be nerve-wracking.
but it helped me get comfortable behind the wheel.
Exactly. And just like with driving, practice makes perfect in teaching, too.
So true.
The more you try different techniques and activities, the more confident and effective you'll become.
And those skills, even if you don't end up teaching abroad or, making a career out of it,
Yeah.
they're useful in other areas of life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Communication, problem solving, adaptability.
Being able to explain things clearly.
Those are valuable assets no matter what you do.
You know, what's really fascinating about TEFL to me is the potential for personal growth.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, imagine yourself immersed in a new culture, connecting with people from all walks of life.
Helping them unlock the power of language.
It's more than just teaching, isn't it?
It really is. It's an incredible experience.
Yeah. It's about breaking down barriers, expanding your own horizons.
And sharing something you're passionate about.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the personal growth aspect.
Right.
What about the different paths you could take as a TEFL teacher?
Well, Teaching abroad is always a popular choice, especially for those who love to travel.
Makes sense.
Imagine teaching in, like, Tokyo or a small village in Italy.
I've always dreamed of teaching in Greece, on a little island,
That sounds lovely.
sipping coffee with the locals after class.
That's the life.
And then there's online teaching.
Yes, which has really opened up a lot of possibilities.
It's so flexible.
You can connect with students from all over the world.
Right from your own home.
No need to relocate. Set your own hours.
But isn't it more challenging to build rapport with students online?
It can be, yeah, but it's definitely doable.
How so?
You have to be more intentional about it.
Yeah.
You might use more interactive activities, give more personalized feedback,
Okay.
even have virtual coffee breaks to build that sense of community.
That's a good idea.
It's about being creative and finding ways to connect.
So teaching abroad, online teaching, anything else?
Oh, there are tons of other paths people take.
Like what?
Some specialize in business English, some work with young learners,
Right.
others work with refugees, helping them adapt to a new language and culture.
That's such important work.
It is, and some combine TFL with other passions,
What do you mean?
like travel writing, photography, things like that.
Oh, that's cool. So many possibilities.
It really depends on your interests and goals.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone who gets a TEFL certificate is going to, travel the world or be a full-time online tutor.
Of course not.
What if someone does the course and realizes teaching just isn't for them?
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
The skills you learn in a TFL course are incredibly transferable.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, you'll have improved your communication skills, learned how to explain complex ideas clearly,
Right.
developed patience and empathy.
Those are valuable qualities in any profession.
Exactly. It's like you said, it's about leveling up those core skills.
Okay, so let's say our listener is inspired and ready to dive into the PFL world. What advice would you give them?
Well, finishing this free Allison.com course is a great first step.
Right. Dip your toes in the water.
Exactly. Get a feel for it, see if it's something you really enjoy.
And if it is, what then?
Don't stop there.
No.
Immerse yourself in the world of English language teaching.
Ow.
There are so many resources online.
Like what?
Blogs, podcasts, forums.
Okay.
You can connect with other TEFL teachers, learn from their experiences,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and get a better idea of the different paths you could take.
It's about being proactive.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
while you're at it, why not look into other TEFL course providers?
So this Allison.com course is just a starting point.
It is. You might find that a more comprehensive accredited course is a better fit for your long-term goals.
Right, if you're thinking about a career change.
Or teaching in a country that requires certain qualifications.
That's true. And networking is important too, right?
Absolutely. Reach out to people who are already working in the field.
Ask questions, get advice, build those connections.
You never know what opportunities might come from those conversations.
Okay, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I hope so.
But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to that personal reflection.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Imagine you've taken the course, you're excited about TEFL, and you're ready to start your adventure. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's all about picturing yourself in that role.
Yeah.
Connecting with students, experiencing a new culture, all of it.
Yeah. What kind of setting do you see yourself in? Like, would it be a bustling city?
Oh, a bustling city. That's exciting.
Or maybe a quiet village?
Yeah.
Or even, teaching online from your home office?
That's the beauty of it. There are so many options.
Right. And then there's the question of, what kind of learners
Oh, yeah, that's
do you
important.
picture yourself working with?
Right, like young kids, eager to learn new words.
Yeah. Or maybe business professionals who want to improve their English.
Or maybe a mix of everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's about finding that niche that really,
That speaks to you.
that speaks to me, that resonates with my passions and skills.
Like maybe you'd love teaching conversational English to travelers.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Or maybe helping immigrants navigate, a new language and culture.
That's so important, and I bet it's incredibly rewarding.
It is. You get to see the impact you're making firsthand.
And then there's the bigger picture, what kind of impact do you make? Do you see yourself as a cultural ambassador?
Oh, building bridges, fostering understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe more as a mentor,
Empowering students to achieve their goals through language.
Because giving someone the gift of language can really open up so many doors for them.
It's true. Language is power, it's connection, it's opportunity.
And as a TEFL teacher, you have the ability to help people unlock that.
It's an incredible privilege,
I
really.
think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. It's been quite a journey.
From understanding the demand for TEFL teachers to exploring that free Allison.com course.
And discussing all the different career paths and the personal growth potential.
It's clear that TEFLs offers a really unique mix of, professional and personal fulfillment.
I couldn't agree more. It's a field with so much to offer.
It really is. So, to our listener who's been with us on this deep dive,
Thanks for joining us.
we hope you've gained some valuable insights and, are feeling a little inspired.
To maybe take that next step.
Because exploring a new path doesn't have to be this, this huge, scary leap.
Sometimes it starts with a small step.
Like taking that free online course or connecting with other TEFL teachers online.
Or even just, taking a moment to picture your ideal TEFL adventure.
Yeah, because the world is full of people who want to learn English.
And you might be the perfect person to help them on that journey.
That's a great thought to end on.
It is.
So that wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you.
Goodbye and happy teaching.